Oh, yes. Radhe Radhe everyone. Good morning, good evening. Welcome to another session of Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita. And look like hand over to you, Nitin ji. Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, Sandhya. Thank you, Padmini ji and Gayatri ji, for a wonderful session, like always. A very warm welcome to all of you. Radhe Radhe. Good morning, good evening. Welcome to today's edition of Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita. We are in the middle of a very interesting topic. And today we are going to discuss something that is the topmost prize for Jivatmas. Okay, the topmost goal. It's like an Olympic gold medal for an athlete. There's nothing beyond that. That is where we'll go today. About that. So that is what we're going to talk about today. I picked up a different shloka today because to break the monotony of the same shloka. And this shloka talks about, all the way up to Brahmalok, you come back, but only when you come to my abode, you don't come back. That's what Lord Krishna is saying. So I'm going to make a quick jump just so that we pick up a newer shloka today. And then we get deeper into the topic of our discussion today. So again, a very warm welcome. Let me share my screen and we will get started. Welcome back, Rahul. Good to see you back. Hope you're feeling better now. Okay, so get started with the opening prayers. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum. Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening again, all of you. A very warm welcome. So let's get started. Like I said, I picked up a different shloka today, although it's tied to the discussion that we are having. So hope we are able to appreciate this shloka in context of what we are going to discuss today. And then we get deeper into the topic of our discussion today. I'll recite it and you're welcome to follow along. Abrahma bhuvana loka punaravartina arjuna Mamupetya tu kanteya punarjanmana vidyate. All right, let's get started.
Samji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Samji.
Brahma bhuvana loka punaravartino arjuna mamupetya tu kaunteya punarjanmana vidyate.
Wonderful, very nice.
Ashutosh ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
So before you start, Ashutosh ji, just to give a quick context, by sequence, we are in chapter 4. From a recap standpoint, we are in chapter 2. And from a context standpoint, today we have jumped to chapter 8. Okay. This is how we do Bhagavad Gita. We go in sequence, but then we do cross references as needed just to drive home the point and solidify the concept. Okay. So please don't get confused. It's not like you slept and then you woke up to Bhagavad Gita class. We skipped a couple of generations. Okay. That has not happened. Okay. Please go ahead, Ashutosh ji.
Abrahma bhuvanan loka punaravartino arjuna mamupetya tu kaunteya punarjanmana vidyate.
Very nice, Ashutosh ji. Radhe Radhe.
Okay, Sumesh ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, everyone. Abrahma bhuvana loka punaravartino arjuna mamupetya tu kaunteya punarjanmana vidyate.
Wonderful, very nice. Thank you, Sumesh ji.
Dinesh ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Dinesh ji.
Radhe Radhe. Brahma Bhuvanaloka Punaravartino Arjuna Mamupeti tu Kaunteya Punarjanma na vidyate. Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, Dinesh ji. Very nice. Radhe Radhe.
Shyam ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Shyam ji.
Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punaravartino Arjuna Mamupete tu Kaunteya Punarjanma na vidyate. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Very nice, Shyam ji.
Uday Kumar ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punar Avartino Arjuna Mam Upetya tu Kaunteya Punarjanma na Vidyate. Radhe
Very
Radhe.
nice, Uday ji. Radhe Radhe. Okay, we can pick up the remaining hands real quick.
Yes, Shyam ji, Radhe Radhe. Sorry, Rahul ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punaravartino Arjuna Mamupete tu Kaunteya Punarjanma na Vidyate.
Very nice, Rahul. Hope you're feeling better.
Yes, Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Shri Ram. Jai Mata Ki. All right, let's take a few more.
And Sam ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, Sam ji.
Brahmavana Loka Punar Avartino Arjuna Mam Uktiya tu Kunteya Punarjanmana Vidyate. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Very nice, Sam ji.
Monica ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, Monica ji.
Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe. Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punaravartino Arjuna Mamupetya tu Kaunteya Punarjanmana Vidyate.
Very nice, Monica ji. Okay, we can get to the last four hands and then we freeze it and we get into our discussion.
Yes, Surender ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, Surendra ji.
Radhe Radhe ji, everybody be happy for the Diwali season, Deepavali season. I will call it Deepavali season. Thank you. Brahma Bhuvano Loka Punar Avartino Arjuna Mamupetya tu Kaunteya Punarjanmana Vidyate. Radhe Radhe.
Very nice, Surendra ji. Happy Diwali.
Riya ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Shubh Deepavali. Small correction. All right, Riya ji. Please go ahead.
Brahma Bhuvana Lokaha Punaravartino Arjuna Mam Upetya tu Kaunteya Punarjanmana Vidyate.
Very nice.
Radhe Radhe.
All right, last two hands. Then we move forward.
Yes, Aparna ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe everyone. Brahma Bhuvana Lokaha Punaravartino Arjuna Mam Upetya tu Kaunteya Punarjanmana Vidyate.
Thank you, Aparna ji. Very nice. All right, last but not the least, Sanjay, you wanted to go as well?
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Abraham Bhuvana Lokaha Punaravartino Arjuna Mamupetya tu Kaunteya Punarjanmana Vidyate.
Wonderful. Very nice. So this shloka, Lord Krishna is telling Arjun that in all the worlds of this material creation, we have looked at all the mahfils of this material creation. That's what we've been looking at. Up to the highest abode of Brahma. He says you will be subject to rebirth. Okay. So first he's corroborating reincarnation and then he's saying there is no escape from it. Okay. No matter where you go, all the way up to celestial abodes, and the topmost celestial abode is Brahmalok. Even Indra craves for the seat of Brahma or the post of Brahma. But Lord Krishna is saying you will be subject to rebirth. Now, when he says rebirth, we are predisposed to thinking as humans, not necessarily. We go into 8.4 million. Okay, rebirth doesn't mean we'll become human. Okay, human is a very rare opportunity God gives after 8.4 million. O Arjun, but on attaining my abode, O son of Kunti, there is no further rebirth. Now he's telling you the formula of escaping the rebirth. Material birth, right? You still take birth, but then it's out of your own volition. You're not obliged to come back to exhaust your prarabdha or past karmas. Okay. So let's get into the deeper aspect of it. What happens in the abodes of God? And so I'll do a quick recap. This is the possibilities of all the lokas, all the way up to Brahmalok. And like Lord Krishna is saying, the blisses are multiplying. But the fact that you are not immune from the afflictions of Maya is still there. You are still in Maya. No matter how hard you go, higher you go, you are still in Maya. And you are still subject to the law of rebirth based on your karmas. Right? Bhogyonis you go and then you keep rotating. And this drama has been going on since time eternity. Okay? So this happiness is within the realm of Maya. Then we spoke about the principle of bliss, the material mukti and basically the divine aspect of it, right? What is the difference between these two? We don't have a choice but to seek bliss. Why? One would question. I'll tackle that just briefly today. But we have a choice where to seek bliss. And because we are seeking bliss in the material world, that is why this process is continuing, right? There's no escape from it. The bhukti aspect is where we are continuing to rotate. And all the way up to Brahmalok, if you go, like in the previous slide you have looked at, that is all bhukti. This is the realm of bhukti. It keeps you in 8.4 million in the material world. No escape from it. Okay? And because of it, we keep on rotating in circles. We may be thinking we are progressing, but that progress is of no use where you can still fall down again. Okay, so this is not a progress which is downfall proof. Okay, there's another word you can say. It's not downfall proof. You can have a downfall from any stage. Just think you are in Brahmalok, the peak of bhukti, the peak of material bliss that you can enjoy, or material facilities that you can enjoy, including having a nice body and opulences and everything. I don't know how it happens, okay? And still you can fall down and become an ant. How bad it is. Right? Krishna is saying, yes, that's how unfortunately it is. Okay. And it includes everything that we do in this world. Sense gratification, touring around, trying to gather bliss from this world, isms, including familism, right? Family is the one which is our weak spot. One or two people that make us repeat, typically, back to back. Or we pick up an agenda in life that can make us repeat. Unfinished agenda in life we can pick up, right? And even the goodness, the charity aspect of it is something that doesn't take us beyond the three gunas. That is again binding. And money, power, fame, anyway, we know that these are binding because your sanskars, first of all, they deepen, and then secondly, it keeps you, basically does not enable you to do non-binding karma. When you do binding karma, the law of karma has to intervene because it is a perfect, God's rules are not whimsical. So you are bound to this material world, essentially. That's what happens. At best, what will you do? Maybe you'll live very nicely, responsibly, take care of your friends, family, and do charity, do noble deeds, not think bad about anybody, don't do any gossip, no negative chintan. Then what will happen? You have done sattva. What will happen? You will go to Swarg, celestial abodes at best. And then what will happen? Once you exhaust it, you are again back. So essentially, this is a game where you cannot break the matrix all by your own in this case. Then what is the secret around it? Let's move on. Now, if you look at it from a scriptural standpoint, God is bliss and bliss is God. Okay, all the scriptures say that. Whichever scripture you go to, whichever tradition you follow. God is bliss and bliss is God. This is what our scriptures is saying. God has bliss is not correct, right? God is bliss. See, has bliss means that God was something different than bliss, and then bliss came into it. It's like Rasgulla. Ras is different, Gulla is different, right? Without Ras, it is devoid, it is insipid. But when Ras mixes with it, it becomes tasty. So God has bliss is not correct. God itself is bliss. Our scriptures say that, Veda we are saying, Anando Brahmeti Vyajinat, Ananda Theva Khalvini, Bhutani Jayante, Anandena Jatani Jivanti, Anandam Prayantya Bhi Samvisanti. So Taittiriya Upanishad very clearly says that God is Anand. Okay. Now, interestingly, that's the eighth wonder of the world. It's not Taj Mahal or Great Wall of China. The eighth wonder of the world is no matter who we are, our fingerprints don't match, our body odor doesn't match, our retina scans don't match. Right? The biometric industry, security industry, which I am in, is based on that only. Our thought processes don't match, our skin textures are different, right? So there is some uniqueness about each one of us, including plants and other species as well. But there is one thing where there is a common denominator. What? We all are seeking bliss. Isn't it fascinating? Regardless of caste, creed, nation, ism that you follow, we are all seeking bliss. Has anybody taught us whether to seek bliss? Nobody has taught us. And scriptures say God is bliss. That means everybody is seeking God. So we start seeking God right from the moment we are born. By crying, we say, I'm seeking God. Because I'm crying, I need happiness. I need to feel light. Right? And even when we feel sad, we cry. Essentially, knowingly, unknowingly, everybody is seeking God. So technically, nobody is an atheist. Can anybody say they are not seeking bliss? I am seeking misery. Nobody can say that. And that is because in 15.7, Lord Krishna says, Mame Vancho Jivaloke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. That means this Jivatama is nothing but my eternal fragmental part. And the part is drawn to its whole, just like gravity. Right? That gravitational pull we feel towards God, because He's an ocean of bliss and we are His part, manifests in the form of urge for happiness. So it is nothing but that pull, gravitational pull from God Himself, because we are His eternal fragmental parts. That is why we are seeking bliss. We have no choice but to seek bliss. Even if you want not to seek bliss, you will still seek bliss. It's as simple as that. Okay. All right. So this is the quick recap on that. And then there are two areas where you can seek bliss. There is no third area. Material we have spoken about, perfect life, perfect world, perfect aspirations. Our drama is continuing in material world because we think we are going to extract bliss one day. We are intellectually convinced there is happiness in this world somewhere and we will one day get it. Scriptures tell us just change the direction. You are seeking bliss, fine, but the direction you have gotten it all wrong. Right? Because the kind of bliss your soul is seeking has to be infinite. It has to be ever fresh. It has to be everlasting. Once it comes, it should not go back. Ever increasing. Conscious and omniscient is our other two attributes. We don't need to get into details on that today. So let's move on then. The possibilities of bliss, right, in divine realm is what we are going to focus on today. And that is where we'll get deeper into that topic today. Okay. Now, which of the followings we spoke about this forms you would you like to see God? And overwhelming majority was the rightmost. Okay, and there was a good reason for that. We'll touch upon the light aspect and moksha and all those discussions as well a little more today. But let's move on. And then we looked at the bhav intimacy graph, right? This is how it goes from Shanta Bhav to Dasya to Sakhya to Vatsalya to Madhurya. And then we spoke about Madhurya. Madhurya is the topmost. And Brajara starts from Dasya Bhav onwards, because from Dasya Bhav onwards, you start having a personal association of God. Before that, it is a distant relationship. It is driven by Gun. What is the Gun? Aishwarya Shakti. You are in awe of God. In Bhakti, in Brajaras, you take the awe away. You simply love God for who He is, not because He's so powerful. Right? Then the Gun is taking the forefront of your devotion. So in Narad Bhakti Darshan, it says Guna Rahitam, Kamna Rahitam, and Gandhalesh. Not even a trace of self-seeking should be there. So this is what we spoke about, and let's continue the discussion here. So this is another way of telling Aishwarya Madhurya. We spoke about Vishnu all the way up to Vrindavan, right? The Aishwarya keeps on decreasing, and oh my God, what happened? Question came. Did I pick up a wrong presentation? Can happen, right? All right, that's why I was wondering what happened. So please give me a second. I'm going to stop share for a bit and pull out the right presentation. Sorry about that. It was completely coincidental and not at all intentional. But I will get back to the real one very quick. It's 20th. Okay. Thank God. Okay. I got it. I'm going to share it again. All right. Sorry for the interruption. I'll get back to business as usual. All right. I think I've gotten the right one now. Okay. Are you able to see it now? I'll quickly go through it so that you don't have to go through it again. Okay. Spoke about this. We spoke about this. Aishwarya. Okay. This is where we were, right? All right. Now let's move on. So this is the question we are going to tackle today. What is that one? What is the peak or the topmost or the epitome of bliss possible in divine realm for Jivatmas, which is us? If any one of you is not a Jivatma and doing the Leela, that is fine. Okay, I'm just talking about ordinary people here. See, we never know who is Siddha Purush here. So that is why I'm putting a disclaimer. But today we are going to talk about where Jivatmas can reach. Okay, that is the topic of discussion today. Let's move. So we spoke about, here is Krishna. Let's look at his circles. The most distant circle is Shant Bhav. The closer circle is Dasya Bhav. More closer is Sakha Bhav. More closer is Vatsalya Bhav. And the closest is Madhurya Bhav. Okay, this is your inner circle of Lord Krishna, a God in his personal form. Okay, this is how this goes. And today we get into the Madhurya Bhav part of it. Okay, now we are going to build on this. So we're talking about divine bliss here. Okay, we spoke why we seek bliss. I hope that part is clear. We have to seek bliss. The direction in which we need to seek bliss needs to be corrected. We are seeking right now in the material world through different agendas that we have created in our mind, right? However, scriptures tell us, fine, you continue doing that, but the day you are intellectually convinced, this is not what is going to really satiate my soul, then let's talk about the possibilities of divine bliss now. Okay, Brahmanand and Premanand, these are the two categories. Now let's understand these two. Everything from here on is basically God realized. When you become God realized, these are those blisses. That doesn't mean after this you will come back to the material world, right? That is the shloka we picked up. That means you get God's abode. In Brahmanand, you don't get that because you are limited to the effulgence part only. In Brahma Jyoti only. You don't consider God. God can have a personal form. So God says, all right, I'll meet you as a light only. Okay, so that is called Brahmanand. Okay, you think that God cannot take on a human form and he's human. So that is why the Brahmanand is limited to people who want to worship God as a light only. Okay. The second aspect is the Premanand part of it. Okay, and that is where we will go deeper now. Now within Premanand, you have two aspects, Aishwarya and Madhurya. We spoke about Shant Bhav, Dasya Bhav, Sakha Bhav, Vatsalya Bhav and Madhurya Bhav, right? We spoke about all these bhavs. So if you look at it in the spectrum, Aishwarya is where you are in awe and reverence of God. Wow, how grand God is. What is his cosmic form, how big he is and how insignificant and small I am. In Madhurya Bhav, God actually hides his Aishwarya and he descends down to the level of a devotee for a personal connect. Make it easy for us. He also understands. That is why he takes on avatar. He says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharat, right? That is fine. That he says that I can't come here to kill demons and all that stuff, but he can just wish and it will happen. The actual purpose of God's avatar is to reveal his nature and reveal what is it that appeals to him and how we can build connect with him, right? To do Leela so that we can think about those Leelas, Gun, Ram, Roop, Gun, Leela, Dham and become purified. Our Antakaran can get cleansed For that purpose, God descends, right? So we spoke about these. Now within Madhurya Bhav, now let's get into the technicalities. There are three possibilities, okay? In Madhurya Bhav, you have Sadharani Rati, Samanjasya Rati, and Samartha Rati. What does it mean now? Sadharani Rati means you love God for your own sake. It is called Sakam Bhakti. For example, Kubja. For example, Meera. Also believe, I think it was in Sadharani Rati category. So it is called Sakam Bhakti, where you are loving God for your sake. Okay, so that is the first category. The second category is called Samanjasya Rati. Samanjasya Rati means 50-50. 50% you, 50% me. Right? Rukmini, Chandravali, all the queens of his Dwarka, right? How many? 16,108 queens Lord Krishna had. They belong to that category, most part. Samanjasya Rati, 50-50, right? People say, what kind of a god was Krishna who had 16,000 plus wives? Swamiji's response was classic, right? That is why he was God. You have problem managing one wife and he could manage 16,108 one shot, right? Anyways, there is a bigger purpose to that Leela, so we should not get into that today. But Samanjasya Rati is 50-50. And the last one is called Samartha Rati, which are gopis, which is 0% self, completely selfless, for the sake of Krishna, for the sake of God. Tat Sukh Sukhitvam. Dwarka was, Dwarka or Mathura? Dwarka, I believe, yeah. Was about 12 kilometers away from Braj. How much time it will take if you jog? Maybe 1 hour, 2, 3 hours, you can do that, maybe 4 kilometers per hour. And even if you walk, I mean, within 7 hours, you can cover that, not a big deal. But gopis did not go there. He said, if Krishna, it's basically, it's in his happiness lies our happiness, because if he chooses to, desires to meet us, he would come. We will not go and disrupt, whatever he has gone there for. Yes, Samji, a question too early. I'm getting into the deeper concept. Yes.
Yeah, Nitinji, the Chitraketu story from Bhagavatam, it says like he has 1 million or 10 million wives. That
Okay,
one
possible.
I never.
In fact, he has 8 billion wives on earth itself. Right? He's Jagatpati, so we all are his wives, actually, if you think about it. His Das and his wives. But yeah, 16,800, I think that was in Krishna Leela. If there are more, then sure, we could talk about that. But I don't have the exact count. 16,108 is what I've heard about, at least from his Krishna Leela that happened 5,000 years ago. But if he had more, maybe he married more. Okay?
No, I'm saying about Chitraketu, the king Chitraketu.
Okay, Chitraketu. Oh, so you're saying he was also as efficient as Krishna was, huh?
Yeah, like he has 1 million or 10 million wives, I think, according to Bhagavatam. So that's what I'm not understanding.
Okay. Great. I mean, that's quite an achievement. Okay, great.
And this Ratis, how will we know that Mirabai comes under Sadharani Rati, Kubja comes under Sadharani Rati?
You know, because I'm telling you that, okay? You have to believe me and trust me. That's all.
Okay, I trust you.
Okay. I've heard it too, okay? And this is, I've heard from Maharaji Swamiji as well, that the queens of Krishna, they were in that category, right? 50-50. If when Naradji went and said, the lotus dust of a devotee is needed because he has a severe headache, when he did that Leela, they were scared to do that because they had their own, I will go to hell if we give our foot dust to be put on our husband's forehead. But Gopi said, take it, even if you have to go to hell, that's fine. So they are considered the highest level gopis, okay, Samartharati ones. Anyways, this is just for understanding part of it, okay? How many percent, 50-50, 60-40, the point is that when you are completely selfless, that is the Gopi Bhav. It is a topmost, selfless love. Now within Madhurya, we looked at the different ras. Dwarka, we spoke about it yesterday. Mathura, Braj, Vrindavan. Okay, these are the different ras because the Aishwarya aspect of God keeps on diminishing in each. Now beyond Vrindavan goes Kunjaras, beyond Kunj goes Nikunjaras, and beyond Nikunj goes Nibrat Nikunjaras. Okay. Now Kunjaras is Jivatma. This is Ashtasakhi. I'll talk about that. And this is reserved for Radha Krishna only. So as a Jivatma, if you look at it, this is the topmost prize one can go for. Nothing beyond that. If you can get up to Kunjaras in Madhurya Bhav, That is the topmost prize. The other part of it is only a Rasik saint can take you there. Nobody else has an Adhikarita to take you there. Only if your Guru is a Rasik saint. Okay, in Maharaj's Aarti, Rasikavar comes, right? Gaon Mili Aarti Rasikavar ki. So only they can take you to this level, especially if you want to get to that level, aspire for that kind of a thing. Now, I don't know what that bliss means because I have not experienced. So if you think that again, that bhajan as we were singing yesterday, Lene wala bada bhula bhala, braj ke rasiko mein shamil nahi hai. So you need to be completely selfless. And that is the trick. Even in this universe, it's in giving you shall receive. When you are completely selfless, no trace, that's when you get that highest bliss of God. And what is the highest power of God that a soul can have? He becomes Bhakta Vashya. Bhakta Vatsal is one thing, but Bhakta Vashya is the highest power. What does that mean? The supreme God, he becomes your slave at that point. Okay. You say stand up, he'll stand up. You'll say sit, you'll sit. Not that you will make him do that, but he becomes Bhakta Vashya at that point, and that is his rule. He has no choice but to become your slave at that point. Okay, that is called the Kunjaras. Okay, so this is the topmost, but then you can reach this level only if your Guru is of that category. He has achieved that, right? And there are a lot of Gurus who will tell you upfront that I cannot give you Krishna Bhakti or I cannot take you that level. They will be very upfront with you and tell you that. They cannot give you that devotion aspect of it. Okay? Now, this devotion, these are very deeper concepts, but just because we are discussing this concept and bringing this into the picture. Yes, Sandhya, you have a question as well?
Just, yeah, so Madhanakya Mahabhav is
Nibrit.
Okay, Nibrat Nikunj.
That is reserved for Radha Krishna only. Okay, beyond Kunjaras is Nikunjaras, which is for Ashtasakhi. Now, Ashtasakhis are, let me talk a little bit about these rasas as well. I don't know what's going on today. Am I missing out on something? Okay. It gets into the last one for some reason. Time and again. I think I opened the right one, but for some reason, as soon as I get past this, it's going to the last one. Now, let me tell about these three as well, a little more in detail. Okay, now we get. So the Kunj is grove, Nikunj is dense grove, and Nibrit Nikunj is unapproachable groves. Okay, that is how it goes. Sakhis, basically the gopis, the sakhas in Krishna Leela, you said, they were the Jivatmas who got that Kunj grove ras. Nikunj is Ashtamaha Sakhis only, reserved for them. And Nibrit Nikunj is only reserved for Radha Krishna. I don't know what's going on here. Okay, so this is how it goes. This is the different levels of ras that are possible. So for Jivatmas, the Kunj ras is the highest ras. Okay, these are all deeper concepts. You don't have to break your head over it. Let's understand it theoretically for now. Okay. The other aspect I wanted to talk about was, what am I talking about here? So these are the three rases that we are talking about. Now, any questions so far before I get into the moksha aspect of it and the concept, so that it's very clear on what is moksha, what is bhakti, what is these rasas that I am talking about? I'll go to depict them in a graphical format so that it makes sense. Other key concept to understand is that the cleansing of anta. See, when do you get this ras? When you are completely selfless, right? You have completely purified your antakaran. And how do you do that? Can you do that through Kriya Yoga? Can you do that through Samadhi? Can you do that through Gyan Yoga? You cannot. The only way to do that is by engaging in Krishna Bhakti. Vedvyas says that in Bhagavatam very clearly. So if you are a Gyan Yogi, if you are sitting in Samadhi, it is like there is a Madhumakhi or a honeybee which is called Sarang. Sarang honeybee. So what it does is, once it starts chasing you, it will continue to chase you. So let's say it's chasing you, and in order to protect yourself, you jump into a river. Right? When you are inside the river, it cannot touch you. When you're outside it, it is still waiting, to bite you. Similarly, whichever path you take, When you are in sitting in samadhi, fine, you are good. When you get out of samadhi, the Triguni Maya, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas will catch you. Okay, what is the IPL score? What happened to my daughter's son and this and that? Or the world will come back to you. So the only way to cleanse your antakaran and build those perpetual, the burning of the seeds itself is through bhakti. That is what Bhagavatam says as well. In fact, there is an interesting thing, and when you do that through the power of bhakti, when you have actually conquered Maya, that's when you can challenge Maya. And I'll tell you what Tulsidas ji said. There's an interesting quote from Tulsidas ji. I'm trying to find that out if I can do that or remember that. You know what Tulsidas ji said? He said that Ab main to hi janyo sansar. Like this is he recite. Ab main to hi janyo sansar. Bandhi na saki मोही हरि के बल प्रकट कपट आगार अब मैं तो ही जान्यो संसार. What he meant was that I've understood you, Maya, now, this whole world, only with the power of Hari. That of course he had built that connect, right? After realizing Ram Bhagwan, that was his Ishtadev, right? He said, now I can challenge you, can't even touch me. Only a devotee can challenge that. Other than that, you will always be under the sway of Maya, no matter which practice you are doing, unless you have done bhakti and burnt the seeds themselves. You cut the grass, it will come back. You pull the root out of the grass, it will again come back. It is very, very obstinate. And the only way to get rid of this is through bhakti, by burning the seeds itself. You'll sit in samadhi, you do kundalini, you do kriya yoga, whatever you do, for the duration of the time that you are doing, you might be okay. When you come back, again world will come back. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas will catch you. So any other practice is a futile practice. Okay, it's a big word, but this is how it is. It is futile. It is, something is better than nothing, right? But truly it will not make you. It will give you a realization that you are more than this body. It will make you feel you have unlimited potential. But working on your antakaran, cleansing that and getting riddance of the afflictions that trouble us can happen only through bhakti. And when we become completely selfless, that is when we get entitlement for the different rasas that we are talking about here. Right? This is a very high level of rasas that we're talking about, even in Madhurya Bhav. Sairamji, you had a question. I saw your hand. Let's quickly take that before I get into the moksha topic.
Yeah, Sairamji, can you? Yeah. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. I had a quick question.
Sure.
In the previous slide, I couldn't understand the connection between those Kunj, Nikunj, and all of those.
Okay.
This one, yeah. Sadharani Rati and all of the Braj, Vrindavan, Kunj, Nikunj, and Samarth Rati.
Sure. So Madhurya Bhav basically in Dwarka, Mathura, Braj, Vrindavan, Kunj, all the way up to Madhurya Bhav is there, right? However, the disposition of Bhav is varying in each one of these. Where some of the people, some of the gopis, they are doing it 50-50, some are doing 100-0, some are doing 0-100. So basically, it's not a subcategorization. It's just I would say it spans across all these. Madhurya, Dwar, within Madhurya, you have Dwarka, Mathura, Braj, and Vrindavan in that order. And then these three ratis are applicable across all the bhavs. Does it make sense? Maybe pictorially it's not getting illustrated, but it's like in Dwarka, Mathura, Braj, Vrindavan, and Kunj, you have all the three categories: Sadharani, Samanjasya, and Samartharati.
Oh, okay. I understood. Thank you, Radhe Radhe.
Yeah. That's what it means. Because in Mathura, each one of these, you have all the three categories of sadhaks possible. Now, these ras, you become eligible for it when you are in an advanced stage of devotion. Right? You start understanding, and when you reach these stages, in each of these stages, knowledge is already there. Gyan and Vairagya are the sons of bhakti. So if you are actually approaching God with devotion, the knowledge will get revealed to you. the detachment that is needed from the material things will automatically come. You don't have to do anything separate. It's like one pill does both. So these are the different divine rasas. Now let's talk about any questions on that. I wanted to talk about the moksha concept today.
There is a question from
Manoranjan ji, your moksha topic is coming up, so I think it will be interesting if you pick that up, and then we can take your question as well. Can we take that moksha topic? Okay. So here is, let's look at it. I don't know what's going on here. Okay. So here is desire. We look at it, the graph. You have a positive desire, and it is called the material this side, and then you have a positive desire on the other side as well. Now on the left hand side, it is called material desire on the positive, which is called bhukti. This is where we are operating right now. Okay. Now, when you are with desires, bhukti or material desires, you crave for world, whatever it is, something related to world. Spirituality, you cannot really progress much there. Okay. It will happen back and forth, but then with desires, spirituality really cannot make a lot of progress. And then this is, let's say, the complete set of desires that you have in the realm of bhakti. Over time, you will keep on diminishing it. Right? Buddha gave 4 truths that there is misery in this world. The cause for misery is desire. You finish the desire and misery will be finished as well. So let's say you have exhausted all those desires. Now you have come through mukti or nirvana, okay, which people think is the ultimate goal of life. Okay, mukti, nirvana, moksha. So what happened? Desire is 0. And you have done dukh nivritti basically. Okay, this is where moksha, mukti comes into picture, or the Brahmananda aspect of it, even when you merge with God. This is basically the boot camp or the state where you have come from negative to 0. Okay, you've attained nirvana, you have attained moksha, or you have attained Brahmananda, or you have merged with Brahma Jyoti. This is where it is. Now people think that is the end of it. Our scriptures say no, that's just the beginning. Okay, but we have to understand it is not a linear process. It's not that first you have to get there and then the other. It really depends on the way you approach your devotion. If you think of God as a light, he'll meet you at a light, and that's the end of our spiritual journey. Right? We have attained God. If you think of God in personal form, then let's look at the possibilities. These are the ones we are talking about, different ras, right? Kunj, Nikunj and all, they come in the right hand side quadrant. Now let's look at those. When we reject both bhukti and mukti, that means you have rejected bhukti, which is the material pleasures. You say mukti or nirvana or moksha also I'll reject. Right? It's a revolutionary concept. I'll reject moksha also. It's a byproduct of Premanand. Then what happens? Then you get into bhakti, the spiritual aspiration, and bhakti is essentially a desire to serve God. Okay, and this is called selfless, and this is where you get the topmost divine love, topmost prize of God, all the rasas that we spoke about, all the way up to the kunjaras. And here we ask for nishkam, selfless seva of God. Goal is the goal of your life. That is when you get divine love. Nishkam seva, nishkamta, ananyata, and nirantarta. These are the 3 attributes of the state. And when you reach this state, you have rejected moksha also. Okay, moksha is like, it's a self-seeking desire. That I should end all my miseries. Fine. In this, it is selfless desire. I want to serve you, God. And that's when God gives his topmost prize, which is becoming Bhaktavashya and his divine love. It is the most treasured prize of God that only a Bhakt can stake a claim for, who has rejected both bhakti as well as mukti. Okay, so this is how it goes. It is a spiritual, both moksha and Premanand and Brahmanand are spiritual goals, milestones. However, the Premanand is considered infinitely more blissful and sweeter than Brahmanand. That is what our scriptures tell us. Okay, any questions now? Now we can open it up for discussion. Any question that I have?
There was one question from Samji.
Sure.
She had asked about, like you said, until where Guru can take us in terms of those stages. So she wanted to just get that clarification till which
Yeah.
stage.
So basically what I'm saying is for a Jivatma, the topmost seat is Kunj. Okay. Nikunj is reserved for Ashtamasaki. I'll talk about Ashtamasakis maybe another session. And Nibrit is anyway reserved for God himself, and Madanakya Mahabhava and all, they get into that, right? Which is reserved only for this Radharani, that seat, right? Those are, but for a soul, especially if you're on a path of devotion and Rasik devotion, Braj devotion, not Vaidhi Bhakti. By the way, tomorrow we are going to talk about Vaidhi Bhakti and Raganuga Bhakti, the difference between these two. Okay. So one of them is called a military Bhakti. Other one is called a love-based Bhakti. So we will find the difference between those two tomorrow and what does it mean. But yes, the Kunj Ras is the one that only a Rasik saint can give you, not an ordinary saint.
And Priyaji is asking, can you elaborate on Mukti, Nirvana and Moksha?
All three are same. They are interchangeably used. Nirvana, Moksha and Mukti, all are same. Which
Okay.
people use interchangeably.
So we'll start taking the hands. Manoranjan ji, Radhe Radhe, please.
Namaskaram, Manoranjan ji. We discussed Moksha as we promised today.
Yeah, Namaskaram. Yeah, nice discussion. Thank you for that. Actually, I have a question to you. Now, actually, during the discussion, you said that bhakti is the only way which is successful. Even if you will not be succeeding when you are practicing Kriya Yoga, or even if you are doing reading scriptures, or even if you are doing some karma kand, but bhakti is the only way, you said. But my question to you is that is bhakti standalone?
Yeah.
Because Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga and Karma Yoga are highly interdependent. You cannot actually say that I can only go in the Bhakti Marga and Jnana Marga will not be there and Karma Marga will not be there, because it is clearly said in Bhagavad Gita, Bhakti is also a karma. You cannot say that it is something which is not in the purview of karma, or it is not amalgamating with
Understood your question.
jnana.
Let me answer. Understood your question. So each yoga, Karam Yoga, Gyan Yoga, Bhakti Yoga. What is the common word there? Yoga. Yoga means bhakti. Yoga essentially means bhakti. No path can fructify on its own. It needs the assistance of bhakti. A Gyan Yogi, no matter what he does, finally has to surrender to God and has to do bhakti. Right? Madhusudan Saraswati, he was Shankaracharya's Anuyayi. Just check out his story on that. Okay, he was told, now finally you have to do Krishna Bhakti, go to Vrindavan. So bhakti in itself is nirashrit. It does not need any ashray. It can stand on its own. If you don't take Gyan, in the advanced stages of bhakti, the Gyan will get revealed within. You don't need to study scriptures. Okay, God is seated within in devotion. As your antakaran keeps on getting cleansed, even the Gyan will get manifested. Kabir Das ji, he did not study at all. Where did he get the Gyan from? Because he was a bhakta. So bhakti has to be mixed in regardless of which path you are taking. And finally, it is just bhakti. Samajh ki had hai gyan, gyan ki had hai prem. Okay. So when you reach the peak of a mountain, what do? So gyan ends there. Then you have to get the wings of bhakti and go beyond that. Same thing, and other practices that you do, karam kand and all, they are empty rituals. Karam kand is just to bring discipline in your life. Karam kand is multiplication with zero. It's a strong statement, but you can make a note of it. Maharaj said that, so there's a good reason for me to understand that way.
Actually, I would strongly disagree with you. Actually, this is not the fact, because bhakti, because if you do not have gyan, if you don't know who is Krishna, you cannot do bhakti. You have to have the knowledge. Without the knowledge, you will not have bhakti. And to have the knowledge, you have to do karma. So the three are intertangled. So it cannot be standalone.
Manoranjan ji, I understood. What I'm trying to say is, yes, all three are necessary, but finally it is bhakti. On these paths alone, you cannot attain God. Bhakti has to be mixed sooner or later. That's all I'm saying. Yes, you have to do karma. You have to attain knowledge. Gyan binu hoye na partiti, binu partiti na hoye priti, Ramayana says, right? With knowledge comes faith, with faith comes love. Ultimate aim of life is to love God. So yes, you have to do karam. You have to attain knowledge also, scripture knowledge. But the point is, bhakti, finally, you have to mix regardless of which path you are taking. That's essentially what it is. And bhakti is it does not need any assistance. If somebody is simply a bhakta, bhakti is also karam, I get that. Then the scripture and other things will automatically follow. And Gyan and Vairagya are known to be the sons of Bhakti Devi. Okay, so let's understand it without getting into too much of a discussion. I think we got the concept around it. And it's not coming from me, it is coming from Saint, right? You might have read it on your own and interpreted it a certain way, but I'm just giving you the perspective, what saints have told us. Yes, Lakshmi ji.
Radhe Radhe Lakshmi ji.
Radhe Radhe, everyone. Nitin, would you please put an example of Bhakti, Nirvana, Moksha and Bhakti, just to make it clear?
Okay, so Moksha is basically Dukh Nivritti. Moksha side, okay, the perspective of a person who's seeking moksha is, there is a lot of misery in this world and I want the misery to end. And if you perfect that way, you do that devotion in the sense that, okay, I need to get rid of it. There is a lot of it. God, I just want to merge with you, your effulgence, your light, and that's all it is there to be. And he'll finally merge with that. And that means his miseries have completely ended at that point. Okay, that is moksha. And you are no longer obliged to come back to the cycle of life and death. That is moksha, nirvana or mukti. However, when you say you understand the truth is you are a part of God, and that your constitutional position is that the constitutional position of a part is to serve the whole. And at that point, you understand that when I can lovingly serve you, that's when I have fulfilled the purpose of it being, my existence itself. And that is your devotional sentiment throughout. So in bhakti, the mukti aspect is already taken care. You are again beyond the cycle of death, birth and death. That is all already taken care. But beyond that, you get the personal association of God as well, based on the bhav in which you have perfected your devotion. So if you have revered God as a king, you will meet him as a king in Vaikuntha. If you have revered God as a das, then the Brajras will start. And it can go all the way up to Madhurya Bhav and the Kunjaras that we spoke about. Understood? I hope that made sense. So what it means is it fundamentally changes the way you approach your devotion. Right? For example, here we are talking about so the way you are approaching your devotion on a day-to-day basis would change. Especially if you are looking at building a personal association with God and you come in contact with a Rasik saint where Kunj Ras is the topmost prize you can go for. I hope that's making sense. And moksha is a byproduct of it, by the way. It is said that Brahmananda is, like I spoke yesterday also, right, on this concept that if a lady is carrying a baby, that feeling is good, that she's going to give birth to a baby. But the pleasure that she would get by holding that baby in the hand is much more than having that feeling of baby in her womb. And that is the difference between Premanand and Brahmanand. Right? Again, I keep on giving the same example. It is said that if you have an ocean of Brahmanand, ocean of moksha bliss, and you dip a needle into it and take it out, just that trace, which is remaining on that needle, if you taste that of Premanand, you will forfeit, you will give up that ocean of moksha. That is how powerful Premanand is. We can get a sense of it. So the bliss that we get from God in his personal form is infinitely more sweeter than any other thing. And secondly, it is the absolute truth, because we are the eternal servants of God, Nitya Das being his constitutional part. Until we realize that potential, we are still in partial truth. That is how it is. Okay, yes, let's take a couple of other hands.
Yes, Shyamji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. Just want to thank you, because until about 2 years ago, I was always wanting for, as I told you also, Mukti, Nirvana, Moksha. And we had a good talk with Yudhin Bhai, if you remember that. So after I spoke to you, I just don't want Mukti, I just want Bhakti and divine love. So that's the only aim, my goal. And Sant Kabir Das Joa, I remember on this, I will just try and say that It says, जिस मरने से जग डरे मेरे मन में आनंद, कब मरूं कब पाऊं पूर्ण परमानंद. So that's all what I want now. No mukti, no moksha, as rightly told us today. So that's the way to progress and progress in this on this spiritual world. Only one thing what you should all strive for is bhakti, and Krishna's love. That's it. Radhe Radhe.
In fact, Maharaj ji, I think I've heard somebody say that this mukti part of it is like a blot or a blemish for a devotee if you go for mukti or moksha, because you have forfeited the opportunity to serve God. It's kind of a spiritual suicide. It's a spiritual bliss, but just consider how insipid it is in front of Premanand. So it said, don't even think about that. It anyway follows. Right? There are so many bhajans of Maharaj ji where they are, gopis, they are saying mukti is sitting outside Braj, and it is also craving for the food dust of the devotees. I mean, these are concepts theoretically we can understand once, until we realize God, we cannot, but at least we are able to appreciate theoretically because Maharaj ji explained some of these concepts.
Yeah, because until last year I was only wanting for Mokshi and Mokta, as I told you also. But after coming to Krishna and Gita, I really care about Mokshi or Mokta. I do not care how it happens. Only aim, goal of life is just to be with him, do his bhakti, and that's it. And I'm sure that should be taken care of. I'm sure that. Yeah.
Yes.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Very nice.
Yes,
Yep.
thank
That's
you,
the pull.
Shyam.
That's the pull of Krishna. They say that any rust that we get in this world, right? Small rust we get kick out of so many things in this world. And think of the Ras Sindhu, the epicenter of Ras. Rasik Shiromani is called Krishna. Okay, and that too divine Ras, not the material Ras. Once he starts taking occupancy of your mind and heart, that's it. You cannot, everything else will feel tasteless because he's Rasik Shiromani, Ras Sindhu himself. Right? So, I mean, theoretically at least we can try to understand. Yes, Surendraji.
There was also this statement by Maharaji that Mukti Bhukti are Dakini, right? Something like
Dakini,
that.
stay away from them. Yeah. Mukti and Mukti both are. Bhukti we know, but we are stuck in Bhukti only, but Bhukti also is there because Mukti he said it's better to continue to become human. At least you have a shot at getting divine love. Right? But don't go for Mukti at all. Nirvana or Moksha. Yes, Surendraji, you had a question?
Yeah, and there are some other chat messages as well. Maybe I can read them afterwards.
By the way,
So
Swamiji is going to be here for a couple of weeks and try to come here over the weekend. We might get a surprise to see him over the weekend. And for Diwali, this whole celebrations that are going to happen for the next 5 days. And then we have a Diwali dinner coming up on 29th October. So if you are in or around Dallas, or even if you're in any other part of the world, fly over and join the celebrations. So, okay.
actually, many people are coming over to Dallas to attend these celebrations.
Oh, they are?
With Swamiji.
Very nice.
It's because Swamiji has specially come all the way from India.
All the way from India, yeah.
Yeah. Such a bliss it is. I am really excited. All right, Surendraji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe Prabhu. I wanted to be made aware of, is it a step after Nirvana?
No.
Mukti? What is the finality?
No,
which
it's
is the
not a
final
step.
stage?
It's not a step, Surendraji. It really depends on how you approach your spirituality on a day-to-day basis. Some people think of God as a light. Some people think of God, as a union with the Paramatma aspect of it through Ashtanga Yoga. So God in Bhagavad Gita has said that in whatever form you worship me, I'll solidify your faith there. Right? So if you think of God as light, God will not say, hey, tricked you. By the way, I look like this. Do you really see my form? He will meet you as a light only. Okay. And it's not that if once you have met the light, then he'll say, okay, now let me show you my form. He will meet you, and that's your ultimate truth at that point. So people in Gyan Yoga, they don't even acknowledge God's personal form. They say, no, that is just a hocus pocus stuff. Less literate people in Bhakti Marg who do Radhe Govind Radhe, they have, considered it. And even avatars come and go. Brahman is all pervading, so it cannot take on a personal form. So they never do bhakti with that sentiment. So God will not meet them that way. Only when we have a firm faith that God is a personal form and we establish that relation, then he'll give you darshan in his true form. Otherwise, he'll meet him as light. Some people say that God looks like this. He said, I'll meet you like that, the way you visualize me. No issues whatsoever. You consider me old man, I'll meet you as an old man. You consider me light, I'll meet you as a light. So it's not a unit, it's not a step function where you first realize it as a light and then you say, okay, personal form. It can directly into a personal form based on the kind of devotion, the path that you pursue. Right? In Bhakti, they say you do Rup Dhyan, you visualize God in all the 5 bhavs or whichever bhav you feel comfortable with, and then you keep on progressing. So it's not that you first go for Moksha and then you go for Premanand, nothing of that sort. You can directly go to the highest by building sanskars right from the word go.
Can anybody ever come back after Moksha to say what the experience there? So what is the experience there?
No, nobody can come back. Okay, I don't know. If I had attained Moksha, I could have told you that. But I'm telling you about what scriptures say. That is the first thing I told. When you are God realized, which includes Moksha as well, okay, it's not a complete God realization, but still it's a spiritual milestone. You don't come back. You are not obliged to come back. Yes, you can choose to come back so that you want to serve God. As a saints come back, right? Even in God's avatar time, a lot of realized souls, they come with Krishna or Rama avatar. They are already realized souls. So they are not obliged to come back, but they come down to do Leela or to help other people out as a saint. But you are beyond the cycle of love, birth and death at that point. There's no coming back.
That means nobody has ever told us, the ordinary people, what is the experience in Moksha.
See, how can you explain? If somebody asks you, how much hungry are you? Can you explain how much hungry are you? Or if you ask a dumb guy, a gunga, what is the taste of a jalebi? Can he explain that? So words have a limitation. But saints, they come and give us some glimpses of it. What it means. They try to explain as best as they can in words. Even the description of God, that he has, bluish complexion, dark rain-laden cloud and lotus feet. They are loose analogies as best as they can give us. But when we will see God, then only we can understand, right? And it's a matter of experience. How can somebody explain it in words? They try to explain it as best as they can to our intellectual capacity.
Hats off to you, sir. Thank you very much.
No worries. In fact, it is said that if you see God, right? If you, let's say tomorrow you see God, you will become an atheist. Why? Because for you, it will seem like an ordinary person. You will say the scripture said that, saint said that, Guruji said that, God is infinite bliss. He continues to look fresh and be more beautiful than ever. He slips very ordinary. You lose faith because you don't have the divine vision as yet. So you see only when he gives you the vision to actually be able to appreciate the depth of his beauty and his complete extent. That will happen only when we have reached that stage. He'll give you the vision to actually see that way. Thank you, Surendraji, and thank you for the goodies, by the way, you sent. Thanks from my mom, dad's side. Okay, they received the dry fruits and Diwali. You didn't have to, but they feel a lot of gratitude for that. So thank you for that. Let's take the next one. Okay.
Should I quickly read the chat as well?
Yes, please.
So Ashutosh ji says we should leave all the desires of bhukti and mukti. And then he has written 2 lines from Maharaj ji. Tabahi dhare pag prem pat, nahi lag jahi jai dag.
Prema pat nahi lag jai dag. Yes, it's considered a blot, blemish on the path of devotion if you go for mukti. So Shyamji, congratulations. I think you did the right thing. That is a good way. Maharajji strongly condemns mukti, moksha. Very strongly.
And Abhiji says Brahmanand is like just seeing your favorite actor from afar, but Premanand is like being with him and knowing him personally.
Very true. Another analogy I can give you is Brahmanand is like becoming a Rasgulla yourself, and Premanand is like tasting that Rasgulla. Okay, it's not an ordinary Rasgulla, but or becoming a honey yourself and tasting the honey, right? So there's a difference.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, we'll take rest of the hands. Swati ji.
Okay, let's, yeah.
Okay, camera, yeah, Monica ji. I will get to her after this. Swati ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. I just wanted to tell one story regarding what Manoranjan said, that we cannot go by Gyan Marg and by other way. Already one story is there. Swamiji also said that Dhannajat story. He was illiterate. He didn't know anything, no knowledge, nowhere. He was just went to one guru and said, I want to do puja and all that. He gave him stone. Actually, he was not shaligram also, like silvatta, whatever we make the masala on that, because he wanted to just read of him. So he gave that Dhannajat that stone, and then he told that you do puja of them daily and then offer food to him to make him bath. You offer flower and do puja. And he believed him that. So he brought that stone. He started doing puja and all that. And daily he used to offer him food, and he used not used it. Then he said, Acha, you are not eating, I will also not eat. So 7 days gone, he did not eat anything. He believed in that this is God. And after 7th day, God had to come and appear from that stone to make him. And then he got that all knowledge because he became God realized.
True.
Thank you, Radhe Radhe.
Beautiful story. Knowledge and everything is a stepping stone. It's a means to an end. End is to learn how to love God. And if you've already acquired that love for God, nothing else is needed. You already served the purpose of the scriptures. That's what it says. So,
wonderful. Thank you for that reminder.
Jnana is needed for people like us, right? Who need a lot of logic, rationalization. Some people have pure love for God, and that is all that is needed, basically. So bhakti can stand on its own, basically. There's a huge body of knowledge related to that can explain that concept. And some people say, deity is stone, it's material, you can't see God, he's divine, then how can you get that? The principle is, when you have divine sentiments for a material thing, you get divine results. If you have material sentiments for a material thing, like when we think about things and relatives and worldly things, you get material results. If you have divine sentiment for a material thing, you will get divine results. If you have divine material sentiments for a divine thing, still you will get divine results. That is how powerful it is. Shurpanakha had material sentiments for Lord Ram. He got him as Kubja next birth. So anything, one part of the equation is divine, other part is material, still you will get divine results. God has very simplified it for us. Yes, let's take the next one.
Yes, Annapurna ji, Radhe Radhe. Please go
Yes,
ahead.
Annapurna ji, we can hear you.
Yes, I was listening to it and I was reminded of Swamiji quoting in his video lecture that bhukti, mukti are like a maid servant, You are going for maid servant instead of God, because they are the byproducts. Once you reach these are automatically, bestowed on you. So I was remembering that they are like, you're going for maid servant when you have to go for the Lord. And another thing is, even bhakti, see, we have so many stories in our, scriptures about, lot of them, like, they have not studied or anything, like Bedra Kannappa, lot of men, they don't know anything about that, but only they were, by their, karma, I think they had bestowed with a devotion that they, reached the highest. Radhe Radhe.
Beautiful. Very nice. Very true. There are a lot of examples, historical examples. If you look at Guru Nanak Dev, he explained the scriptures in a very subtle language, right? Because he was explaining it to people who might not have understand the intricate philosophies, very simple language. But internally, did he not know scriptures? Of course he did. Right? Some of his things, if you read about it, it's actually getting into the philosophy aspect of it. But they see, a teacher will get down to the level of students to explain that. If he's a PhD teacher, it's not that he's going to speak about PhD concepts. If he's catering to elementary students, he will talk in that language only. So some of these saints who were never read or studied, they just knew everything because they had the power of bhakti. Yes. Next one.
Yes, Monica ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe, Monica.
Please go
Radhe
ahead.
Radhe.
Yeah.
So in order to find out the answers that I would have gotten from Bhagavad Gita and reading classes. I was listening to a lot of YouTube videos and articles and stuff like that. So there's a group who also says that Jesus also came out of Krishna consciousness.
Possibly, I don't know.
And also that Osho, he was the one who was actually telling people about the same, and which is why he was poisoned and sent back to India, so that this, because obviously it's a Vatican City and stuff like that. So it's a big thing that they have already created, and they would never want it to fall. But then they insisted on this point. In fact, Sadhguru also says that Jesus actually came out of Krishna consciousness. It's like one of the Sanatan Panths, in case, I mean, when it is revealed to the world.
Okay, possibly. Yeah, I've not heard that or explored that much, but yeah, I mean, in fact, I had a few Mormon friends, and he asked me, did Jesus ever come to India? He asked me that question. So I told him I'm not sure about Jesus, but his father definitely did. And then he said, who was that? And said 5,000 years back. Okay, then I told him the story. But yeah, I've heard that, but I'm not very sure if he did or not. But yeah, there are quite a few belief of thought that he spent a good amount of time, when before reaching that in India, and it's quite possible as well.
Because those 8 years where he was missing, it's not even mentioned in Bible. And then I don't know if I'm supposed to discuss all this here, but then with the faith that this was like out of Krishna consciousness, Sadhguru also mentions that he actually, when the crucifixion happened, so 3 men, like how Pandavas were conceived by Kunti, similarly Jesus was conceived by Mother Mary. She was Virgin Mary, right? So she was conceived. She conceived. The conception was virtual, and it's very much possible in Sanatan Dharma. And those 3, yes, and those 3 men who came and told Mother Mary that he's going to be like one of the known people, and will train him. He was taken actually he was initiated at the age of 12, like how we do in Gurukuls. He was taken to India, given all the knowledge there, and then when he came back, he just wanted to say that kingdom of God is in you, like how we say Atma Paramatma, just the English language. And Roman kings did not like it, and that's how it all happened. But yes.
No, that's interesting. I mean, I'd not heard about that, but yeah, I think they seem to have pretty sophisticated technology in those days to bear kids. So it always fascinates me how they did that. So, including 100 Kauravas for that matter.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that trivia. I will definitely explore that a little more. Thank you.
Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Yes, Manoranjan ji, still not convinced bhakti is the way to go?
Back to Manoranjan ji, Radhe Radhe. I am unable to unmute.
Bhakti ki purnima nahi hoti, and it is said that bhakti never gets complete. That you have like Gyan ki purnima hai, Karam ki purnima hai. There is, Karam and Gyan, they have a peak. Beyond that, there is nothing. And after that, there is just bhakti. But with bhakti, it never reaches its peak. Why? Because the competition between God and Bhakt continues. What kind of competition? God gives Bhakt the bliss. Bhakt says, all right, God, I return it back to you. He multiplies, gives it back. And he says, I'll give it back to you. He multiplies, gives it back. So neither the Bhakt stops, nor the God says that I've run out of fund. Okay, that continues throughout eternity. That is how beautiful bhakti is. Every day it is, even the path of bhakti, if you look at it, right, you will see joyous faces. Have you seen any joyous faces in Gyan Marg? They are very serious people, right? And they become insipid and boring after a while. They start taking themselves seriously, and they start giving a lot of Gyan around as well. But in devotion, it's a very beautiful path. And it is for really, people think it's just for people who don't have much brains, but I would say the most intelligent people to take to bhakti, because they understand the deeper aspects of it. My respect for my Nani, Dadi increased many folds. Earlier, I used to think they don't know what they're doing. But now I understand all of this exercise is get to the point where you can do Radhe Govind Govind Radhe. That is the ultimate thing, with faith, devotion, and remembrance. Great. Anything else now, or we have covered the session? I know we went over, and did we make all the announcements that we had to? I think we have already run over, so we can cut it short after the announcements, or maybe take 1 or 2 questions.
Okay, so there was a little bit of announcement left. So like you said about Diwali, Apart from that, there was Swamiji's India tours, which are announced. So people there are details about each and every city where he'll be visiting. So you can accordingly check the website and keep yourself available whenever he'll visit to your city. Apart from that, I have also shared the link for uploading the video. So yesterday we had announced that you can just make a 5-second video of yours holding the Bhagavad Gita book and conveying your greetings for Diwali, preferably Shubh Deepavali. So yeah, so that is also something you all can do. I have put the link in the chat. And there
And we
was
have
one,
beautiful thread going on, right? If
yeah,
one
I would
is
really
gone,
want to show that.
please do.
Okay.
See, we have a very interesting thread going on right now, so do participate, check it out. It's like God comes in front of you. How would you do you envision that conversation to be? It's a simulation you may have to do. What are you going to ask God, okay, if it comes in front of you? It's a nice simulation, so let's be prepared, okay? The last thing we need is we get his darshan and we let it go. Okay, so think about it in advance and put down your thoughts. It's a very nice thread. I also need
So
to think about it.
yeah, I think everyone can see this is the community portal and it's just amazing right now. Like lots of people are engaging very enthusiastically, and this is a post which was created today morning only. It's about an activity that Nitinji just described, and a lot of people have already commented. It's amazing to go through the comments, how people would want to spend their first meeting time, like in their consciousness with God. I would really encourage all of you to participate and put your comments. And there are many other wonderful posts in the portal. So I'll share the link and you all can go through it and participate.
Great. Wonderful.
Okay. And I think Lakshmi ji has also requested that she wants to sing a bhajan. So after we take these two hands,
Sure.
should we?
Real quick, we'll take and maybe we'll have just maybe one,
Yeah.
2 bhajans and then wrap up the session for the day.
I would say
But
if there is
tomorrow-
any pressing question only, then probably we'll take it up right now because we are
Yeah,
already.
if it's a question, yes, sure. But if you're going to explain something, you can write it in feedback tracker or on the portal.
Or that the portal, yeah. So Manoranjan ji's hand is still raised, so maybe I'll
Yes,
just.
Manoranjan ji, you had a question?
Yes, Manoranjan ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
I actually I don't have a question. I have a Kabir Doha. Can I recite? For all
Oh
of you?
yes, please, Kabir, please go ahead.
Yeah, Kabir says a beautiful inscription based on Mukti. What actually Mukti means? Kabir says that जब मैं था तब हरि नहीं, जब हरि है मैं नाही, प्रेम गले अति सांकरी, उसमें दो न समाई कबीरा, उसमें दो न समाई। जब भक्त और भगवान एक हो जाते हैं, जब भक्त और भगवान के बीच में कोई अंतर नहीं रहता, देन उसी भाव को समाधि भाव बोल सकते हैं, उसी भाव को ही मुक्ति बोल सकते हैं। मुक्ति इज ए स्टेट ऑफ माइंड. इट इज नॉट लाइक दैट यू विल बी a hero, you will have 4 hands. See, it just a simple person can have mukti only by changing his state of mind. Thank you.
Great, thank you. That reminds me of another Kabir Doha. He said, "Pothi pad pad jag mua, pandit bhare na koe, dhai akshar prem ke pade so pandit hoy." So, no matter how many extensive reading of scriptures and all those gymnastics, intellectual gymnastics you do, if you have simply understood prem or love for God, you have fulfilled the purpose of life and of all the scriptures. That's all it is. There's nothing else to be known other than developing love for God. Nothing else. Everything else will follow. Cleaning of mind, clarity of thought, bliss, joy, knowledge, everything will follow. Great. Now let's move on to our last segment. Maybe we can pick up a couple of hands.
There are 2 people have already requested me. One is Lakshmi ji, second is Abhishek ji.
Okay, so we'll take the ones who have already requested then. Let's take that.
Yes.
New people,
So,
Abhishek, we look forward to hearing them.
So Lakshmi ji, I have unmuted her first. So
yeah.
Let's go ahead and then we can take
Radhe
Abhishek.
Radhe, just an attempt to sing a bhajan.
Sure.
तुम मेरे ते मेरे हो, मेरे रहोगे, बहको ना अब बहकाने से, तुम मेरे थे मेरे हो मेरे रहोगे। बहको ना अब बहकाने से, जब समझे प्रेम में डूब गए तब क्या होगा समझाने से। तुम मेरे थे मेरे हो मेरे रहोगे। बहको ना अब बहकाने से, तुम मेरे थे मेरे हो मेरे रहोगे। राधे राधे। Thank you.
Very nice, Lakshmi ji. In fact, one of the lines which is my favorite from this bhajan is, whenever the going gets tough, the tough gets going, right? So that line is there. अब और अधिक चमकेगा सोना, पुनि पुनि अग्नि तपाने से, तुम मेरे थे मेरे हो मेरे रहोगे। बहकुनब बहकाने से. Thank you so much. Radhe Radhe. Very nice, Lakshmi ji. Abhishek ji, let's have our debut singer today.
Yes, wonderful bhajan, Lakshmi ji. I just love each and every line of this bhajan. It's beautiful.
Very good.
Abhishek ji, can you please raise hand, or maybe I'll search for his. Give me a minute. Yes, Abhishek ji, you've been unmuted. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Abhishek.
Okay. रघुपति राघव राजा राम, पतित पावन सीताराम। रघुपति राघव राजा राम, पतित पावन सीताराम। सीताराम सीताराम, भज प्यारे तू सीताराम। सीताराम सीताराम, भज प्यारे तू सीताराम। रघुपति राघव sorry.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I mean, my throat is...
Finish it off, finish it off.
Oh, yeah.
Let me drink water. Give me a second.
Sure, sure. Very nice, Abhishek. You get the debut award regardless. Beautiful rendition.
Yeah, and very beautifully sung. Very nice. So,
Yes, and it is very appropriate because we are getting to Diwali.
Yeah.
Ram Bhagwan ji. Very nice. Maybe we'll do one of the sessions and again discussing about Ram Bhagwan and Krishna Bhagwan together. You know, what is the difference and the similarity between both of them? Great. All right. Do we have one more?
Yes, Shri Ramya ji. Radhe Radhe.
Please go ahead.
Shri Ramya ji.
Radhe, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Sorry, I raised a question, but since bhajan is going, I'll keep the question for tomorrow and I'll continue with the bhajan.
You can post the question. You can post the question, the feedback tracker.
Sure. I wanted to see Arati Priyatama Pyari Ki, which is written by Kripaluti Maharaj and which was sung by famous singers like Anuradha Purdwal and all. I'm nowhere eligible to sing this, but I'll give a try. आरती प्रियतम प्यारी की बनवारी नटवारी की। आरती प्रियतम प्यारी की बनवारी नटवारी की। दुहुन सर कनक मुकुट जल के, दुहुन श्रुति कुंडल भल हल्के। दुहुन त्रिक प्रेम सुधा चल के, रसीले बेन रसीले नैन रसीले सेन। दुहुन में नन मन हारी की। आरती प्रियतम प्यारी की बनवारी नटवारी की।
Thank you, Shri Ramya ji, for citing the beautiful Aarti, and short and sweet from Swati ji is going to come now. And that's the last one for the day. I know we have overshot our time. Swati, you can go ahead. Sure.
Yes, Radhe Radhe Swati ji.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. I will also speak only 2-3 lines. Radha Kishori Daya Karo, Shama Ladli Daya Karo, Daya Karo Radhe Daya Karo, Radhe Kishori Daya Karo, Shama Ladli Daya Karo, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you, Radhe.
Very nice, Swati ji, like always. Great. With that, we come to the end of our session. It was a little intense today. Tomorrow we are going to continue. We'll talk about the different kind of bhaktis. Again, it's a very foundational, important concept. And I look forward to another engaging discussion tomorrow. Thank you for your enthusiastic participation. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Wonderful day and a great rest of your evening. Radhe Radhe.
Yes. Thank you so much for great engaging participation. Good night, good day. Radhe Radhe.
And you can